that's it in part one, man. As a little boy becoming a man, and in part two, Tyler's already went through so much, and
Yeah.
now he's kind of callous, and he's kind of in a spot where he doesn't know what trauma is reality and what's not because these dreams have been so much of, am I dreaming? Am I not dreaming? So it's kind of messed with his mind to where it's like he's going crazy inside of his own skin, and he's still a badass. I'll just leave it. I'll leave it there.
Alright.
Yeah.
Now, will Dean's Haunted Mansion be in Mallet too?
Um. So there are some shots of first off, on the second floor of Dean's Haunted Mansion, in the back of the mansion, in this unfinished area, uh, that's where I shot some of the stuff for part one. There are some shots in there of Mallet, and there's not much. Unfortunately, it's not like part one, so you're really not going to get to see like that, the outside of it. But I kind of refer to that area in the movie as like the killer shack.
Yeah.
There's one point where Tyler's like, once again in the killer shack. You hear him say it. I don't know how many people picked up on it, but um, that we kind of call that his killer shack. That's like his lair, his headquarters, where he comes back to. And I had to incorporate a little bit of Dean's Haunted Mansion in there, man. So, but the new locations are great. They're scary, and they create an atmosphere where Mallet can truly be the animal he is.
Now, this is gonna be a weird one, but will Pinkie Pie or Daddy Pooh be in Mallet too?
No, I'm sorry to anybody out there that, yeah. So Daddy Pooh, there there wasn't any role that I thought would fit for him to be in this movie. Um, there was just there's a lot of young people in Mallet too. And as far as Alicia goes, I'd love for Alicia to step in front of the camera, but she has the worst anxiety of anybody I've
Yeah.
ever met in my life,
Yeah.
and getting her on camera to act is impossible. I've tried, man. I've told her so many times. I wish to God you would be in one of these movies. You're beautiful, and you know what I do, so you
Yeah.
firsthand, can deliver something because you've heard me talk about it so much. You've seen me writing it and explaining it, and she's just not having it. So,
Now, how did you come up with Mallet?
um, I sat down trying to think of a way to make a new character. I was trying to think like, you know, uh, Texas Chainsaw. He uses the chainsaw. Jason, Friday the 13th, uses the machete. Freddy's got his claws. Chucky, I mean, he don't really have a specific
Yeah.
name, but we see him with the knife. We see Michael Myers with the long knife. And I started thinking, man, like, what's a weapon somebody hasn't used a lot? Like, we've seen people use sledgehammers and mallets. I've
Yeah.
seen, but never as their main primary weapon. And I'm like, a mallet. And it just so happened that I had a bunch of vintage mallets that just over the years, like, I don't know how the hell I got them. Maybe I bought them to put them in like a scene or a set for like my haunted house attraction. And I was like, whoa! I was like, these are actually pretty killer, man. Like you
Yeah.
throw some blood on these things and they look ready to go, and or look like they've been going. So I knew the weapon was going to be a mallet. And I've always loved characters that have like a scarecrow like face.
Yeah.
And but I didn't want it to be like a scarecrow, but I wanted it to be like made out of burlap, and I wanted it to have like, texture and depth, and look rugged, and kind of be dark around the eyes to where you could see the eyes, but it didn't drown them out completely. Like you could tell there's a person in there.
Yeah.
And once I seen that, I slowly started putting the costume together from the ground up. I mean, I made everything. I made that mask from nothing. There was nothing there, and I made that mask. I made the mask for part two. So once I knew what I wanted the character to look like, what his weapon of choice was going to be, I just had to figure out his name, and it was simple, man. I was like, well, fuck, I'm just going to call him Mallet.
Yeah.
And then the backstory came to me. This is a kid, you know, he's a fucking